Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw for week 53. Another 7 curious, interesting things I saw last week. So let's crack on. Yes, 53 is correct, apparently. I looked it up. Scroogly is the first one. So this is a sort of web demo. You can go to scroogly.com and play with it. So this uses machine learning using sort of face tracking and body motion tracking real time through your camera on a website to animate a character. So you go along, you design your little character, don't need to have any fantastic drawing skills, and then activate your webcam and then move about and your character will move with you. So so neat that it's doing all that on a website now. And secondly, I thought it was really interesting about, is this the future of cartoon animation, or at least possibly doing your storyboards, in that you can now get somebody just to act it out and your characters will move about. So we've seen in motion films, movies, that you get somebody who is essentially really good at doing the motion capture part of the role, and therefore they become the Gollum or they become the character. You never really see the actual actor. Will this be the future of cartoon? Will people go through drama school wanting to be a cartoon animation modeler, for instance? Who knows? There you go. Tesla have updated their vehicle for Christmas, and they have some very important updates, most important of which is the external boombox feature. So this allows you to customize the external sound of your Tesla. Now, this is not legal everywhere, so don't get too excited. However, if you are in a place where this is allowed, then you can set, for instance, a customizable horn. Not only can you customize it, you can upload your own sound effects, so it's totally customizable. I'm not quite sure how that works with the performance rights, should we say. However, you can do things like the whoopee cushion, the fart noise, instead of the horn, or the somebody gently saying, please, could you get out of the way. And also you can use this for essentially drive-by sounds as well. So ice cream van or V8 or rock music, whatever you want. So doubly irritating. So quite interestingly, for some the owners of a Tesla who try to be environmentally sound, having this is a little bit leery. However, I've been talking about this for probably 20 years, boring everybody to death, anybody who will can't really run away fast enough, with this idea of the theatrical nature of a car. When there is no sound, you rock up at the traffic lights, there are 5 other cars around you, they can all communicate to each other, and one of you decides to be the drums, one guitar, the other one is going to be the lead guitar, whatever. And as the lights go to red, you will zoom off with a cacophony of performance, therefore either enlightening or blighting our cities with with noise. So there you go. That could be quite an interesting place to go for sort of the theatre of future cars. Apple have started to release their privacy feature again. So this is the 3rd time this story has come up. First one was Apple launching iOS 14 with these features in, which is all about privacy. And the second one was when they essentially took it back and said, okay, the other networks are not ready for this just yet, so we will launch it in 2021, probably January. And the third, which is now where we are now, which is it's happening. So a lot of people with beta releases of the new iOS are seeing this pop up, or versions of this pop up you're seeing in front of you now. So this will alert you when it senses that a site is using any sort of cross-domain tracking, like cookies, that can track you across all of your other websites. It will alert you to say, would you like this company to do that for you? Now, clearly nobody's really going to say, yes, I'd love them to track me across all of my other sessions across the internet or my apps. So this is pretty much going to chop the legs off any programmatic ad buying service. So this is really important for people like Facebook and Google. So Facebook and Google, their business model is advertising. So they make money from knowing what you do and what you search for online and what you buy online. So they can only do that if they are sniffing at every website that you go to keep track on you, to put you in some sort of cohort. So so Facebook were very vocal about this one, basically saying, well, if you're a small business, how can you now advertise to people in your local area, for instance, because we don't even know where you are, what you're searching for. So it's going to really damage small businesses. Now, clearly what that really means is it's going to damage Facebook, because they rely on knowing, snooping in on everything you do. So as to Google, as to all the other sort of programmatic ad networks. So yes, so that is coming into force. So I can't see anybody saying yes, please allow me. So you will either get no ads, less relevant ads, or if you've ticked the box, you will get what you currently get. So watch out for that one. That's a big shift in the industry. The Moguri mod really caught my eye because this was upscaling old games. So this is Final Fantasy 9, and what you can see is as the screen wipes across, this is the new detail being added to the game. So there's a huge amount of interest in these old games still, and especially the classic ones, the iconic ones, are getting sort of a HD remakes. And full remakes as well. So you've got things like The Secret of Monkey Island, etc. So this is using a really interesting techniques. It's using quite a lot of human work as well. So there's a new soundtrack and all those sorts of things, and extended artwork and those sorts of things. But what this is also doing is it's taking the core artwork and upscaling it. So it's basically HDifying it. Now what you can see here is you can see the graphics automatically having a HD element added to them. So that's really neat. So this might also be something you can add to games that are currently being made, but maybe an easy way of upscaling and refreshing older games. But it's all using, say, machine learning, etc., etc. So that's all good. If you were into your cryptocurrency and checked in on it over the Christmas period, you may have been confused. Lots of things went on. The two big things was obviously there was a big run on Bitcoin. Hit a new, what they call an ATH, an all-time high, nearly $28,000. So it was down at about 3,000 earlier in the year. So it gives you a bit of a view on where that's gone. It's going down a bit. It'll probably rally again. All those sorts of things. This is not financial advice. I'm not going to even talk about that. However, the big news was Ripple. Now, Ripple have been there since 2013. Now, this is one of the top 4 cryptocurrencies. It's up there with Ethereum. However, it's not, according to the US Exchange and Securities Commission, Securities and Exchange Commission, should I say the right way around, it is not a true cryptocurrency because it is not purely decentralized. So there are people at the beginning, at the middle of this, controlling the assets and stuff. So it's not purely on a publicly accessible blockchain where everybody can see every transaction. So the two founders apparently have raised $1.38 billion, and those should have really have been under some sort of law and traceable, and essentially it's a securities. So they should have actually followed some protocol there and haven't. So what happened is that got announced, and anybody who was holding Ripple essentially saw about half of everything drop off the market. It's rallying again because people are trading it because they can see an upside, but that was really big news. Really, the Securities and Exchange Commission are one by one going after and trying to regulate this slightly crazy market at the moment. So that was big news. If you do have Ripple, you might want to check in on your portfolio. KFC have announced the games console. Now, this is clearly PR fluff. However, there is some truth to this. So it is actually in conjunction with a hardware manufacturer. If you do look a little closely at some of these mock-ups, then you're thinking, oh yeah, okay, that looks a little bit 3D printed. However, of course it is, because they're not really going to do this. But I can imagine the pitch, at least. KFC, what could C stand for? Console. Everybody's launching a console right now. That we should do one of those as well. So that's what they've done. So it is actually with a partner who does hardware. So it is pretty much a PC gaming rig. But the big thing that's different is it has a little drawer in it to put your chicken in to keep it warm whilst you're gaming. So there you go. That's what I think they call it, the chicken chamber. So you will never see this in shops. It's just a bit of PR fluff, but I thought that was really interesting. How actually it's a plausible device, and you might see more of those coming out soon. And finally, we have the alternative Queen's speech. So this was by Channel 4. So as the BBC were doing their official Queen's speech, which is very somber and very moving, and basically reflected the gravitas of where we are right now in 2020. You've got Channel 4 over on the other side, potentially not really reading the room, in my opinion. However, doing a deep fake TikTok style Queen's speech. So a couple of things that stood out. One, it really was really the first thought I had. I watched it anyway and just thought, oh, it was really cringy. Just my opinion. This might have been the best thing you've seen all year. And secondly, it wasn't very convincing. Now, I thought that possibly was for a reason, so people knew it wasn't real. It was voiced over by a real voice artist. However, the rest of it was just possibly a little bit cheese. However, quite whether this is the future. So if you have the rights to a very significant event, what's to stop a parody event happening on the other side that might be more interesting, that can take on a lot of sort of more sort of script written and theatrical elements to it that the real event can't do. So yeah, so that was curious, a weird way to end the Christmas day, but there you go. It was interesting, so that's why it's here. So there you have it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next week.